Former Sheriff Jimmy Gregg of Florence County is with us this morning.
I appreciate y'all having me on, man.
Absolutely, but you're here to speak in support of T.J. Joy.
I am.
As a former sheriff trying to help get the next sheriff elected.
That's right.
Well, Jimmy, I'll get out of your way. Obviously, you know a lot about the sheriff's department. You know what works and what doesn't work. You know what you've done right and what you wish you'd probably done differently. But why do you support T.J. Joy as the next sheriff?
Well, first of all, let me tell you how good this county has been to me as a sheriff and as a political candidate. I guess this county has been awful good to me. The people of this county has been good to me, and I appreciate the opportunity to come here and support a real good candidate for sheriff, T.J. I think a lot's been said about him being a football coach and criticism for that, but if you actually look at it, it's a great example of how the sheriff's office should be run. You got offense, you got defense, you got special teams, you got to study films, and TJ is all about this. He's taken his team to the state championship 2 or 3 times in the past 10 years he's been a coach down there. He's very well organized. I think that if you're going to recruit good people, you have to go in the community and find people that are not looking for a job, they're looking for a career. And the way to do that, if you want an arson investigator, for example, you go to the fire departments and say, who do we need in the fire department? Not looking for a job, but who's going to be in this fire department that y'all can work with, that'll work these fires for you. And he is doing that. He's going to the fire department saying that, I know this is what y'all need, this is what y'all asking for, and I will provide that for you. Same thing with community relations. You got to have good people in those positions, and it's all about recruitment. And you can't take a 250-pound lineman and put him at safety. So I think this football thing's been really overrated with TJ. I think it's an excellent example of what a leader should be about. And working with young people, when these young people come into the sheriff's office, they don't come in at 50, 60 years old. They come in as young 20-year-olds. And those are the people that you really need to bring up through the ranks in the right way. And I think he's all about that.
Let me ask you this, and you may not want to talk about this, and if you don't, you can certainly, you're skillful enough to, you're a little bit like me. If I want to answer the question, I will. If I don't, I'll answer it. Somebody asks me what the price of eggs in China is, I'll say government's too big, spends too much money. That's just kind of the way natural politicians do this. But when you ran for office, my family always supported you, and we thought you were a good sheriff, and then you decided you didn't want to be sheriff any longer, right. And then you ran again. And that caught a lot of us off guard. What motivated you to run again? Well,
to be quite honest with you, I supported Kenny Boone 100%. And Kenny assured me when I decided to support him that he would give everybody in the sheriff's office a chance. And as things progressed along, and I think he started getting some bad advice during the campaign, and to make a long story short, he targeted 12 people that he was going to fire before I even left office. In fact, he wrote the letters on my stationery. I approached him about it, and the supervisor at that time, my chief deputy, and asked him about it, and they said there wasn't any truth to it. And, well, he certainly lied about it. But anyway, I approached him a second time about it, and then I got a list of people he was planning on firing. And right after he was elected, he sent this letter out right at Christmas and telling them, because he was going to take office in January. And I assured him that I didn't appreciate it. And I probably should not have run, but he broke that promise to me. And, if they didn't work out during his tenure, then he could pick them off one at a time, or he could move them to different positions, or he could even fire them. But to go right in there and not give people opportunities to do what they need to do. And these are people that support him. And I just think it was a very deceitful thing to do. And Kenny and I we talk now. So I've talked with him. I had some good conversations with him. And
we wish him well. And I know you wish him well.
I do. I really do. And I wish things would have turned out a little better for him. I wish things would have turned out better for the sheriff's office. But I just think they got some problems out there that I don't know if the people out there now can deal with it the way it needs to be dealt with.
And that's what, I mean, when I hear Joey's ads or I hear TJ here on the show or somewhere else will say that he's talking about change, is that the reasoning? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the reason you're supporting TJ is you just believe we need change?
Absolutely. I think that, I think what you got out there right now, Ken, to be quite honest with you, you got some retirees that have bottlenecked the top of the sheriff's office, that they started living off of both retirement and their salaries, and I don't know that they can afford to retire now rather than put that money up somewhere and walk away for retirement. I don't know if some of them can afford to retire now. I don't know why they're hanging around out there. They've been out there. Some of them have been in the retirement system over 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and I think it's just bottlenecked at the top. And these younger fellows that work so hard and want their careers to be advanced, they can't move up because of it.
The one thing I always thought you did a good job of as sheriff was understanding the budget. As a former member of county council, I'll just be honest, we were always nervous about law enforcement personnel understanding the budget. You had a dust up, if I'm not mistaken, before I got to county council. I didn't have anything to do with it, but Jimmy had a little bit of a dust up with some friends of yours over sheriff budgeting and spending.
Well, I tell you, when you're dealing with that kind of money, I'm not a very smart person. But I am smart enough to hire somebody that understands that, or either talk with. Grady Greer was a great councilman in mine, and I sat down and had long talks with Grady Greer about budgets and things. He was a great businessman, and he knew about those kind of things. So I know you remember Mike Ellis. Mm-hmm. Mike was the project engineer, project director for the building of the law enforcement. Had a great understanding of budgets, and I hired Mike. And that was probably one of the better hires that I made. So he understood those kind of things. And, lots been said about the helicopter, buying the helicopter. Well, I think that's a luxury for the sheriff's office. When you start looking at things like body cameras, do you want body cameras or do you want the helicopter? If you can't have both, which one are you going to pick? And I think when they chose to put the helicopter, you can't arrest somebody from the helicopter. You can certainly fly around and look at things in it, but if you come down to needs, if you're doing a family budget and you're trying to survive, are you going to go out and buy a boat? And that may be a poor example, but they got this helicopter and they could use that money in a lot of different places. And I think you're going to see some positive, very positive changes and out in the sheriff's office.
When you were sheriff, working with county council was important, and normally y'all would work through these things together, but there was that one instance that y'all were just on different teams, and I'm not asking you to relive that. I remember it real well, but it is important the sheriff has a relationship with county council.
Absolutely, and you want to work with county council, certainly, and you understand that they have guidelines that they have to follow. And I think that, I think these 3 councilmen that have come out for Kirby have certainly set a precedence. And I think that every candidate, every elected official needs to take a hard look at this, because not only are they trying to decide who our next elected official is, they're saying that if you don't work with us, it certainly appears to give the line of thought that if you don't work with us, then we're going to come out against you, and we're going to support you, and we're going to endorse you. And I think it's setting a huge precedence that doesn't need to be there.
So you're not in favor of the council members endorsing or publicly supporting a candidate?
Well, I think when T.J. Joy is elected, what kind of working relationships he's going to have with these 3 councilmen? And if T.J. Joy decides that he wants to support their opposition, are they going to feel the same way about their working relationship? And I think it sets a very
interesting
precedent.
That's very interesting. Okay, I want to go back. We got a few minutes here left. You decided to make public your support of TJ. Kind of in a nutshell, you talked about the football coaching part of it. You know the complexity of that job, and if anybody knows it, you do, because you actually spent time sitting in the chair. What do you think makes TJ the right choice for the voters of Florence County?
I think it makes the right choice because he welcomes outside people, professional people from the outside advising him on what to do. I think that he will take that advice. I think he will work with council. Even with these three guys going against him, I think he'll work with them. I don't think he'll work for them, and that may be the problem, but he'll certainly work with them. But he doesn't want to represent just council. He doesn't want to represent just the Republican Party. He wants to represent every person in this county, and I think that's so important. I think he wants to go into the communities. I think he wants his officers to be going to these communities and gather respect from the community to these officers. I think if you're going into a fight, you put on combat boots, you put on fatigues, you put on black shirts. If you're going in there to get respect, I think you have to dress for that respect and earn that respect from the communities. And I think that's what his plans are.
Jimmy, what do you make? Last question. I'd be interested in your take on this. I ran as a Republican. You ran as a Democrat. What do you make of the partisan issues of sheriff's departments when these party operatives kind of get in the middle?
Back in the day, you couldn't get elected. And in the 60s, early 70s, you couldn't get elected as a Republican. There were no Republicans. The fact that there was a guy in Pamplico, the only Republican I ever knew, I believe it was Godwin.
Johnny Godwin.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
Buford Godwin.
Yep. He was the only Republican I ever heard of. And that was back in the day. So I think that, of course, that it's obviously switched. But if you're going to run for an office now, particularly countywide office, I don't know that you can really run as a Democrat. And I think you see all the local candidates anyway switching to the Republican Party. And that's pretty sad because you can't, in the primaries, you can't vote for one or the other. You have to, just like the Bailey.
Yeah, we had the mayor in here yesterday, or the candidate for mayor.
Race. It's sad that you can't go in there and vote for a candidate for sheriff, or, you got to go do one or the other. You can't vote for one or the other in this race, but you can in November. But I just think that TJ is going to represent everybody and all the parties and not be concerned with policy making and things that these larger Democratic Senate and House and President and things like that. I think this is a local race.
He must have twisted Jimmy's arm mighty hard to get him to come on the radio and represent. But it's good to see you. And
well, I appreciate y'all having me.
Good to see you. And I can't think of a better person to be a surrogate as somebody who's sat in the chair and has a very informed opinion as to what that office consists of, what the requirements are. And he's here once again to make public known his support of TJ Joy. That's Tuesday, right?
Tuesday's election.
Good to see you, my man.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a break. We'll be back in just a minute.